What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. This is TWA Motorsports, and today we are working on the Camaro again. I don't know. We just keep working on the Camaro. I know you guys want to see the Trans Am. I'm gonna work on the Trans Am, I promise you. But anyway, we're working on the Camaro today. So what we're doing is, in the last video when we rolled the fenders, I talked to you about the steering column, and that is really the last piece of this. Getting this to where I can daily drive it. Now, chances are I could probably daily drive it right now. It would be fine. However, I haven't been able to align it yet since I lowered it and put the new ball joints in, tie rod ends, all that stuff. So it hasn't been aligned. I need to do that, but before I do that, we need to change the steering column. Now, let's go out here first. I talked to you guys in a couple videos. You've seen me. This is pretty common. Okay, this is common with a lot of Camaros, Trans Ams, Firebirds from this era. These pins wear out in here, and ultimately I was going to show you guys a video on how to replace those, but I have other issues. So the other issues that I have are I needed a new steering wheel. As you can see, mine is just beat up from the sun, people's hands, and it's just completely trashed, the steering wheel is. The other thing is I am missing this panel here. So just those two items, the steering wheel goes for about $150 used, and this piece is about 15 bucks used. And then the obviously the steering column is shaking around, it needs those pins. But the main reason for me doing all of this is when I'm turning, I'll get like a quarter of a turn in and it kind of freezes up. And so what's bad is the bushing and bearing that are at the end of the drive shaft, or sorry, the steering shaft. So I'm going to show you guys on this one what I'm talking about. This piece right here, this bushing and bearing is bad. Now, I believe Hawk's 3rd Gen, I'll list their website down below, but they sell a reproduction piece here. But because I was missing like that little $15 clip here, this cover, and a couple other things, and the steering wheel was bad, I ultimately decided to replace the steering wheel. Now, or a steering column. I was able to pick this up on eBay for $172 shipped to my door out of a 13,000 mile car. Now, there are some differences, guys. This came out, and I'm trying to get it to lock here. See if I can get it to lock. It is a 6-speed column. So, I don't know if that tells you maybe down the road what I might be doing with this car, but I decided to go with a 6-speed column, and it was available, and there's some interchangeable stuff. So we'll talk about that, and we'll kind of see how that goes together when we get it in the car. But I also got the body control module. Now, this car here did not come with keyless entry, and it couldn't be added because it didn't have the code. So when you're replacing a steering column, a lot of times, because of the type of key that they have with this chip in them, you have like a 1 in 15 shot of getting the same key. So it's best to get the body control module, that way they match up and you don't have a security light or any problems with it starting. So I got that, and it will give me the ability to add keyless entry, which I did want that this car didn't have. So ultimately, guys, I'm sorry I wasn't able to show you a video of me tearing the column apart, putting the new pins in. I will link in the description a place where you can buy the pins. I have not done that process. I don't know how involved it is. I think it's a pretty involved project, but ultimately this was the best option for me. Pretty good steering wheel, all the airbag, everything's there. So the very first thing that we need to do is, obviously, because we are messing with an airbag, we need to loosen the battery, take it loose, let it set for about 5 minutes so the capacitors go dead. Then we will move on to that 11mm bolt that holds the steering shaft in place, basically the rag joint there, or the steering column U-joint that goes down to the actual rack. So we need to get that 11mm out, and then we will start on the process of taking stuff out of the interior. So it should be a pretty straightforward process, but obviously I'm going to show you guys. But let's get started with the battery and the steering column bolt. So generally, if your steering wheel is straight in the car, you were able to get to this, just a really long extension to that 11 millimeter, and then we're just going to pull it off and get it out of the way, and then we'll move on to the inside of the car. Once we have that 11 millimeter out, we need to go ahead and, wow, it looks like there's hardly, okay, so there's maybe not any screws in here. Okay, there's one screw in this. Normally there's 4 screws and then one in the dead pedal, and it looks to be the only 2 that are in here are the one in the back and the one in the dead pedal. So we're gonna have to hunt down some screws when we put it back together. It looks like somebody had stereo in this car, and just kind of laziness on their part putting stuff back together, but not a big deal, guys. We're going to get this dead pedal and kick panel out of the way, and once we do that, then we're going to go ahead and take this lower portion of the dash apart. Once those 2 Phillips are out here, there are 2 7 millimeter bolts, one here, and then this whole panel should come out of the way. Now be careful, because it's really hard to take this apart without breaking it. Chances are, if it's been off before, it's probably already broken, the clip, but take those 2 7 millimeters out and we'll get it out of the way and kind of see. Now we do need to get this plastic column out of the way. There's just a couple push clips in either side of it, and it should come out of the way. I can get this one out by hand because it was part of the way out, but the other side we're going to have to go get my clip remover because it's not far enough out. But we'll get this out of the way, and then we'll be able to start tackling some of the wiring and the column itself. One thing I will tell you guys, if you don't have a pair of these panel removals, clip removers, oh man, you need to get a pair, because they are absolutely awesome for taking panels and clips apart. Just happens super quick when you have a pair. Well, you can see the remnants of radio. We're going to take care of that while we're in here, but let's see if we can possibly get it out of the way at least. It's just sitting under the back seat. We're going to take that out before we go back together with this. Anyway, so once we do that, let's show you here. There's 2 10 millimeters on either side that hold this bracket in place. And I don't really understand the point of this other than it keeps the that piece of plastic that we just took out from maybe sinking in, but regardless, it has to be out of the way. So we're going to go ahead, take the 2 10 millimeter nuts off either side. Once we get that bracket out and those, I don't know if you guys noticed, but this was clipped on to the side of it. We're gonna go ahead and pull all these clips apart, and I think we should be able to get the steering column out. But anyway, we're going to pull these clips apart, and then we will work on, I believe those are 13 millimeter that actually hold the column up into place. I might just loosen them for now, and then we will work on the ones that go into the firewall. The next three things we're going to take out are these bolts that hold it into the firewall. Now those are just 10 millimeter, and I'm just using a really long extension so I don't have to crawl up in there. We're going to go ahead and take these two 13 millimeters all the way out and let this column drop, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we need to undo and the differences in the auto and the 6-speed column. Now once the column is down, you can see that there's a couple plugs that we still have to unplug. A couple on the left side and then one there on the top side of the steering column. Now I was able to get it out a little bit further so I could show you guys what I'm talking about. So when this car is in park, then it releases the key. So until it's in park, it won't release the key. And that's kind of what this whole attachment is. Now obviously in a manual car, it doesn't have a park really, so it doesn't have this option. So I'm going to go ahead and just unbolt this off the side of this column and take it loose, get it out of the way, and then that is the only thing left that's holding our column into place. Once we do that, we'll be able to go ahead, take this one out, and put the two columns side by side so you can see the differences. So let's take a look at both the columns out of the car. Now I took this apart just to make it a little bit easier. This is the exact same as the one that came out of the car. So the only difference being that you have a connection on the side here. If you want to bolt this on, you sure can. And what this allows it to do is there's a box that I unclipped from here that allows it to, when you pull the car, or sorry, when you shut the key off, it has to be in park in order for you to remove the key. And so that's what this, not this piece, but the piece that I left in the car that goes into the actual center console. So I'm not going to be hooking that back up. There's no sense in it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this column back out there, put it in, and we're going to bypass that completely. Now, there are a couple plugs here that we will address once we get it back in the car, but no issues whatsoever. I know when the car's in park, so I can take the key out. You actually have to turn the key, and then the difference on the actual where you put the key in is you can see this one doesn't have a button, whereas this one does, since it's a manual. So guys, hopefully this makes it makes sense. Every plug is identical. If you would like to swap over this, you could. You're just going to have one extra step, which is you're probably going to have to replace the lock cylinder, which I'm not looking at doing. And like I said, it may be a hint of down the road we may be going to a 6-speed swap. So let's look at what I was talking about at the end. You see that? that is where I'm hanging up when I'm trying to drive, and this column looks bent. So that could be a lot of my issue too. So we're gonna go fire this one, or put this one back into the car. Not a whole lot of stuff to do. It's really just plug and play for the most part. But we're gonna plug it in. We're gonna make sure that we bolt it down with the 10 millimeters and then the 13s. There is a set of wiring that goes underneath it that I kind of had to thread it out of. Hopefully you guys were able to see that when I was taking it out of the car. But ultimately, guys, like I said, if you did want to hook this back up, the two holes that hold that in place are there, and that clip, that little piece right here is what holds it into place. Now there is a spring in there that falls out, but you can put that back into place, and that's on the piece that's still left in the car. But anyway, guys, let's get this one back in, or the new one into place, and then hopefully all the plugs will line up. They look identical. The only plug I'm wondering about is this guy right here, but I think that'll be okay also. Well, I've went ahead and plugged in everything that was unplugged. So the yellow plug here, this black plug, the orange plug, the main adapter, and then there's another one on top of the column, and then this side here, it actually did have a piece. I didn't remember taking it out. But anyway, guys, I've got the two 13 millimeters started up there. I've got the steering wheel pulled back a little bit because I'm going to go ahead on the bottom side of the hood and start that joint onto the end of the column. And then once I do that, I'll start to thread those 10 millimeters back into the firewall itself. So just take your time. Make sure that you get everything plugged in the correct way. And then, like I said, let me see if I can get to that piece I was telling you guys about. This piece goes up against the firewall. It's hitting up top now, but this is the part that bolts to the side of that and disengages when your car isn't parked. So, like I said, I'm going to just run this out of the way for now. I might go ahead and pull the carpet back and just unhook it from the bottom of the column, but I doubt that I'm going to do that. I think I'll just tuck it up into the firewall there, just making sure it's out of the way. But if you want to hook that up, like I said, there is a spring here that fell out of it, this piece, and then a spring and a bushing that you can put it back together. Like I said, I don't really need that hooked up, and it's more of a pain working down here than I want to deal with, to be quite honest with you. And it isn't going to do anything for me anyway. But let's get that started up under the hood, and then we'll talk about the body control module once we get this all tied up. Obviously, we need to put all our pieces back in order, get everything bolted back into place, and I'll show you that. But then we'll go talk about the body control module. Now, once you have this into place, we'll have to push it in. Obviously, it'll push a little closer once we get the steering column up against the actual firewall. But it is on there. It's just a little bit harder to do that with the bottom not loose. You could loosen the very bottom of that joint out there, and you could maneuver it around. But I've gone ahead and done that. Now I threaded these two 13s on. I'm gonna go ahead and start those 10 millimeters down here at the bottom. And then we'll go out there and take a look at where our steering shaft is coming into the actual U-joint. Once you get those 10 millimeters into place, you got to wiggle this around a little bit to get them into place, but go ahead and tighten them up. Sorry, the drill's probably really loud. It's right by the mic. Once we get that complete, now we can go ahead and tighten these two 13 millimeters up above that hold the steering column in place. Now, one thing to take note of is you can move the steering wheel back and forth before those 13s are tightened down. So make sure you get it in the center or as center as possible, and then you can go ahead and run those down tight. So I went ahead and put this bracket back in, the two 10 millimeters. I haven't tightened it up yet, but I will tell you guys that this was clipped on the back side of this. Now, if you would like to put it back in that spot, you can. I probably will once this is tightened down, but just tighten those two 10 millimeters down. and try to get all your wiring up back to where it was at. This is all kind of where it was at. It's kind of messy, but and then we'll get that black panel back into place. Now I've got this plate back in place. That remote hatch pop is plugged in and it wasn't broken, which is surprising. But we're going to go ahead and tighten these 7mm. And then we'll put our 2 Phillips back into place on either side here. So the last thing we need to do in here is obviously bolt this or screw this back into place, that kick panel. I was able to find 3 more of these screws since it only had 2, and I wanted to have 5, just like it's supposed to. So we're going to get that into place, and then we will go on to the body control module, and then we're going to smoke test it. We're going to start it and see if it works. Once we have that panel in place, I completely forgot to tell you guys, we need to go ahead and put our bolt in for obviously our steering shaft. That would be terrible if we left that out. That's 11mm, and go ahead and put it into place and tighten it down. So once you get that bolt into place and tightened down, you can torque it down to 35 foot-pounds. That's what they call for. You can also, if you don't have a torque wrench, you can just get it nice and tight. Just making sure that it's not loose. You don't want it loose. So now we're going to move on to the body control module. Now it is on the passenger side of the car. So what we need to do is we need to take this panel out, and it actually has, no, it doesn't have all the screws in it either. Anyway, there's only 4 on this side because there's not a dead pedal down there. So let's go ahead and grab it out of the way, and then we will move on to the actual glove box because it has to come out of the way next. Once you get the 1 or 2 or the supposed to be 4 screws out of this, you can pull it out of the way, lay it to the side. The glove box only has, let's see if I can get it out here. You pinch the sides, all that stuff falls on the floor, but there's only 3 7mm bolts that go into place here. Now, you really don't, I'm not necessarily sure that you have to take it out. That's the body control module right there. We're gonna see if we do not have to take it out of place. I think it's gonna have to come out of place. Yeah, it's gonna have to. I'm gonna close it back because it looks like there's an access hole here in the center to get to that 7mm. So we're gonna close it back and take that glove box out of the way. Like I said, there's 3 7mm there. And then once we do that, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to remove this plastic bottom panel just like we did on the other side for the steering wheel. Now once all the screws are out, just pull this out of the way, set it aside also. Now we're gonna grab these 2 clips out. I'm gonna go grab my clip removers and we're gonna take these 2 clips out, get this panel out of the way. Once that panel's out of the way, we can really get a good picture of, I mean, you could do it without the glove box in. I'm sorry, you could see it without the glove box in, but it's got to come out of the bottom. So I'm going to unclip this section of wire, pull it down out of the way, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do it here as well, giving myself a little more room, hopefully. And that is the wiring that goes into the body control module anyway. So that thing just clips into place. So basically there's a clip on both sides as well as a support in the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of pry it down and push it out of the way. Now that the old one is out, we need to plug the new one in, or new to me anyway. And we're just doing the exact opposite, obviously, of what we were doing before. Make sure that they're all plugged in solid, and then we're going to put it right back up into the spot that it was at. We're going to try to. There we go. Once that's into place, we can go ahead and put our wiring back in our loom here. Clip it back together. Now I didn't put the rest of that back into place because what we are going to do is we're going to test it now. So we need to hook our battery back up, and we're going to see if this thing starts. Now if you don't get a key with your column or with your BCM, it's not going to work. Well, I say it's not going to work. It's a 12 chances, I think, 12 to 15 chances. If not, you're going to have the body control module flashed at your dealership. But I'm going to go grab the wrench. We're going to tighten this down and we're going to start it and see what happens. Well, we have it all tightened up. So go to the comments, guys. What do you think? First hit on the key, is it going to start? I want to know. I'll give you a second here before I try to start it to see what you think. Now, one thing I'll ramble on kind of while you're going down there in the description telling me if you think it's going to start or not. One thing, check this out. We don't have the crazy column movement. Now it does have some movement in it, and if you guys use this to get in and out of your car, it's going to do that. So don't use this. Don't use a steering wheel to get in and out of the car. Make sure you're using, like, if you can't get out normally, use like the side here to try to get out. But okay guys, I've given it enough time. You post it in the comments. What do you think? Is it going to start? Let's turn the key over and see. Steering, no, that's on. All right, it started. I gotta check gauges light, which is really weird. Oh, it went away. Well guys, this solved a couple things. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, when I was first initially buying this car, it had a security light on. So I'm pretty sure that the tumbler had been changed anyway. And this not only fixed my steering wheel issue, and it not only fixed hopefully my turning issue, and it doesn't feel anywhere like it did before. We'll take it down the road in a minute, but it also fixed that security light. All these things. I got a way better looking turn signal stock. Look how clean that thing is. I mean, it's dirty. Normally I clean this stuff off before I put it in, but I just wanted to get this in. So let's get this zipped back up. Now that we know that it starts, we don't have any lights, and we'll take it down the road and see if that fixed my turning issue. So we have everything buttoned up over there. All the proper screws, I found some more. So everything has a screw in it like it's supposed to on both sides. And we have a nice new steering wheel with steering wheel controls that don't work because it has this ugly radio in it. And that's gonna change soon too. I hate that radio, and frankly, I'm gonna be driving this thing. I want a radio that works. But I'm gonna clean this thing up, guys, when I get some more interior stuff. Normally I would, like I said, clean this stuff up, and it might drive me crazy to have this dirt in these cracks and crevices. Obviously the steering wheel set around for a while, but in way better shape than the one that I had. It does have some marring on it, but all in all, I'm happy with what I spent, because I didn't even talk about just a column from like used. Hawk sells those as well, and they're about $250 to them. No steering wheel, no anything else. So I got the steering wheel, the body control module, the key, everything I needed, and I'm going to be able to add, all I have to do is buy some key fobs and I'll be able to have keyless entry, which is something that I wanted. So we are going to take it down the road. Look at that, 206,000 miles. It's coming together. But we're gonna take it down the road and see if my turning issue is fixed. And I can already tell you that it is, because it is not dragging when I turn the steering wheel. So already way better just getting out of the driveway. I'm trying to clear see my wife's SS out there. Man, that would suck to back into that. So we don't want to do that. I may have to put the camera down and start it back up when I get out of the driveway. Okay, so I cleared the SS. Which, by the way, look how crappy this aftermarket dash panel fits. Don't buy one of those. Find an original. Well, guys, I'm telling you right now, the steering is absolutely insane. It's so much better. I had that hard spot, like turning to right here, it would like jam up. And I don't know if it was because the steering shaft was bent, like on the end down there, which could be, because if that bearing were out long enough, this would bend. But as you can see, my steering wheel is a little off, which we will address with an alignment. I'm sure the alignment's all out of whack. I just want to drive it down the road and not going very far, just like a block down the road. But guys, I'm sorry I was not able to give you a tear apart of the column. I just didn't think it was worth it for all the parts that I needed and pieces that I needed. This is a way better deal, and quite honestly, I'll list a couple links in the description. Maybe you guys can find one of these deals on eBay. That's the best place to find one of these. These cars are getting scarce, so it is getting kind of hard to find them, but I think this was a great deal. $172 ship, body control module key, new steering wheel, 13,000 mile column. It just doesn't get any better than that. I will also list all the parts that I use, and I'll list links to the people that make the new pins where you can fix that sloppy steering wheel. But if your steering wheel is not sloppy, make sure that you don't get out using this as leverage to get out. Like I said, that's what causes a majority of the problems. But guys, if you do like this video, if you like this project, please smash that thumbs up button. As always, guys, if you're not subscribed, go down and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell icon, that way you're notified every single time we drop a new video. And well, stay tuned, because we have a lot to come on this. The Trans Am, maybe the Corvette, of course the green truck. We got a lot of stuff coming, guys, so stay tuned to see what we do next.